Hey, welcome to halftime.
Why
Andy,
did they run a play?
I don't know. Did they get anyone hurt on that play? I wasn't watching.
Goff got. I mean, it wasn't like a massive hit, but he got blindsided by Verse for a sack.
Yeah.
They had 3 timeouts, but there's like 18 seconds left. I was super surprised they ran something there.
Opening line for the second half is the Linos -2.5, -113. Wow. Total is 26.5. The Linos will get the ball first, I believe. And they have kind of outplayed the Rams, I think, to this point, but it's a very tough call.
Yeah, the Rams did get the ball first. They had the third down cup throw that didn't work out, and they ended up punting. A little underful game. I made a case for that on the podcast, and the market did not think that was the right thing to do. This got bet up for most of the weekend. I don't know. It's just a couple of, if you start thinking of the names and the offenses and what we've seen, and really, really got hit. So I think 54 is where it ended up at. I'm surprised.
If you liked it if you sold down to 50.5, you're going to love 54 to the under. Holy shit. Somebody bet this game like they knew the final score, and I think they were wrong. I know that an end zone pick, which would have given you 20 points, is enough, close enough.
I mean, even an incompletion that ends up with 16.
Yeah, right. That was
currently we're at what, 39 for a full game total.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by second half over. What do you think?
I was hoping Detroit would be a little cheaper. I guess I was kind of hoping the Rams would score. I wanted to bet Detroit coming in and just looking at it. Nakua's back in. He doesn't look good. He doesn't look like he doesn't going full speed. They have the Parkinson. There's been a lot of connection there. I don't know. It's funny how this happens every year where we see these quarterbacks like, where was this in the preseason? Did we just not go to camp every day and find out this is like your favorite new player? But suddenly it's like, oh, Parkinson's going to get 4 targets. Cooper Kupp has 9 targets in the first half, you guys. For 26
pass
yards.
Attempts for Stafford overall is wild.
30 total yards. How many? 10 for Goff, which whatever, if Montgomery's going to do what he's been doing, why throw the ball too much? Especially, I don't know what the Jameson thing ended up turning out to be. It seems like everybody's kind of hurt, but not completely leaving. No, Joe Noteboom did leave on a cart. He was backing up Alaric Jackson, who was suspended. So this would be your third string left tackle in AJ Arcuri, which means there are only 2 other offensive linemen dressing for the Rams that are not on the field at this point. Logan Bruss and Bo Limmer, of course, you guys already knew that. Bo spelled how it's obviously sounds in the Cajun way. So they're starting. That's the other thing. With Puka hurt, and you're starting Warren McClendon Jr. and AJ Arcuri at your 2 tackles, I do worry a little bit about if I was making second half adjustments for the Lions, I'd probably bring a little more heat.
I'm surprised they're not winning more, honestly. I thought they were going to be a lot better.
Stafford's good. Stafford's been getting out quick he's been getting it to tight ends. He's been getting to running backs. I mean, Kupp is basically playing that role too. Everything Kupp is catching is within a couple yards of the line of scrimmage. So he is getting it out quick. I think he knows the drill here. So what do you like more? Team total or just second half over? 25 and a half.
I don't know, man. You kind of talked me into Lions the way you broke that down. I think we just.
Well, I mean, what do you think of the Lions?
It's correlated, offense, right? Like points, like this total. This is a high second half total. 25 and a half, 26 points is a fucking lot. And in a game that may not be competitive for a lot of the fourth quarter, I don't really want to have points in this one. I think I'd rather have Lions. Like obviously the Rams competing and keeping this close and making it a fun, interesting game is very correlated with a second half over. But I feel like the rushing attack for the Lions might be super successful in the second half as they are just road grading. And I'm not impressed with the Rams defense, particularly their front seven. I think that is a beatable unit. And I think the Lions probably end with something like 150 yards on the ground. They're at 66 so far. Funny enough, these are teams that are equal at 4.6 yards per play so far, relatively equal time of possession, just the one turnover in favor of the Lions, and huge turnover, by the way. So clean game so far, generally with penalties. We've had each team attempt a fourth down already, which is always fun.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's really cool about the Lions games in general. And maybe you know, you hate to see the Rams not convert fourth downs because we don't want McVay to turtle. But yeah,
I mean, they already made that joke in the Discord. That's the last one for the year, guys.
Yeah,
we
didn't get it.
Shit.
Oh, we didn't get it.
McVay's gonna be scared. It'll be really funny now when there's a fourth down opportunity and he kicks a field goal and it works in our benefit. So let's just play some Detroit.
Linos.
Similar to Thursday. I'm not crazy about this, but if you made me play something, I don't think I could back a Rams team who probably should be down by a little more. Hasn't been able to really stymie the run. It's not like they're busting off big ones, but when they really stuck to it, and when they wanted to convert a fourth down, Montgomery's been fine.
Yeah, it's true. I don't have much more to say about this game. You want to hit the pod music? Talk about everything else that happened today?
I don't know. Just a couple more things on this one.
Hit it.
Should we hit the music?
Well, no. I think that was a pretty much perfect handicap. Short and sweet.
26 passing attempts for Stafford. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a shitload. Yeah, he's on pace for 50 attempts in this game, 52.
I know. I'm trying to think of our exact handicap, like what we decided was going to happen in this game.
Well, we thought it was set up well for the Lions to put this thing away on the ground, which is kind of, I think, exactly what it is.
I was going to say, I think when I was basing it on an under, I said if the Lions do take control, they should just be able to run.
Yeah.
And honestly, almost, the other way as well, especially if you're able to take away Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Although Jameson had a nice little pass reception, and then he got hurt immediately afterwards. But I know, it's like, God, that guy, they need to get some returns out of that guy. He missed parts of his first year, and then he had the gambling suspension. Is it raining? Does it look bad? Is it like nasty outside? Or am I just seeing
where I am?
Behind you. It looks bad.
No, it is like sweltering heat.
So that's like steam on the windows.
Maybe, yeah. It is hot here. It was triple digits, I think, 3 or 4 days in a row now. Everybody's losing their fucking minds. Gorgeous here. Should we recap the week? Yeah, let's do it. You want me to hit the music? So anybody who's not familiar, what we just did, that's just on YouTube. That's it. Sundays, yeah. Sundays. We're going to roll. Yeah, we're going to roll in. Well, depends on the game, I guess. We just didn't have a lot to say about it. That was kind of a boring fucking half, Drew. Yeah. It was. What we're doing now, we're going to roll right into a podcast. We're recording this. I'm going to clip this part out and drop it as a podcast. We're going to go over all the games. So when you hear the music, don't get confused. It's just so I don't have to edit it in post. Makes my life easier. I'll see you guys on the other side of a 15-second clip here.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Football is back, and there is so much to talk about. Had a fun day out in the desert with a bunch of our friends yesterday. Got absolutely destroyed. I lost a lot of money on college football. I don't know why I'm betting college football, but I did, and I lost. And then I got very, very, very inebriated. It was a super fun time. So I'm mostly there, but I'm very excited to talk about today's games. Overall, it was a good day for me. I think the Texans covering would have been nice. Would probably have made a good day a great day. But I think we'd have to be kind of, number one, we are blessed to be able to cover this sport. And for the games to be so fucking electric right out of the gate is just absolutely awesome. Opener on Thursday night we could talk about for 20 minutes, I feel like.
Just a banger.
Just an absolute classic banger, and it mattered. And the other big games today that mattered delivered in general. I thought that the major takeaway for me, if I only had one today, the rusty quarterbacks looked rusty. The bad quarterbacks look bad.
Yes, several tweets about that, about which quarterbacks didn't play in the preseason. I think it matters more when you're going to a new spot. My love affair with Kirk Cousins lasted about as long as, my third grade girlfriend. Yeah, just oh shit, I forgot we had Easter break. I'm not dating her. I'm not dating her anymore. Yeah, weird weekend for me too. I got some stuff done yesterday, and then if you guys remember a couple weeks back, I had a little health scare.
Yeah,
I had a little health scare.
All-time health scare. Yeah,
ended up having to take. So I'm taking some blood pressure meds because I'm old and out of shape to help with that. And so I just kind of quit drinking for a few weeks. I haven't really drank since Vegas.
Yeah.
And then my wife wanted to have it was like 65. Beautiful bonfire weather. So I had 4 gin and tonics last night. I'm like, oh no, I'm fucked up. Like, it's crazy how like 3, what's it been, like a month? And like I was semi-slosh. She took advantage of me. But no, it's gorgeous here. And yes, this has been a great week of football. I would have loved the Packers to be a little better in the red zone.
Your Packers play was what a dumb play, man.
I know you're in the freaking Eagles.
I will be honest with you, that felt very fortunate. I got very lucky on Thursday and Friday. I definitely getting both the Chiefs and the Eagles was fortunate.
And I'm kind of level-headed after many years of this. That stuff doesn't bother me as much as it used to. The Titans kind of bothered me.
Oh, that one sucked. That sucked.
Getting a good number, seeing them actually, like the handicap came to fruition. The defense played pretty well. Caleb Williams wasn't great out of the gates, and then just
and then
sometimes
14
you get bit,
special teams defensive touchdowns.
You get bit by touchdowns like that. So do you want to start off the top?
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's do rotation. Fast thoughts.
Also, real quick too, Bijou Caucero. Boy, that's not the easiest name. Says, but I want to watch the second half. Go watch. Go watch the second half. We're gonna release this. As a podcast.
This will go out as a podcast. You can listen to it save it for Monday. Monday's
later.
You know what makes Mondays better, guys? A deep dive.
Yeah. Also, this is on YouTube. You can come watch it later too.
That's true. All right. I no real more interest in covering Ravens Chiefs. I would just note that that one is like a break your brain as you try to like make sense of it after the fact, because it's like, well, the Chiefs they were just dominant win probability of most of the game, and yet they probably should have lost. That was crazy that they blew a 10-point lead,
especially against the spread.
Yeah, without question against the spread. But yeah, that final play by Likely was unreal, and for it to be that close and out was
wrong colored shoes.
I know, it just feels rough for it just feels rough that this happens to the Ravens against the Chiefs, the Bills against the Chiefs. Like, these teams are going to have mental scars at some point. Like this, we can't win. Right? I guess
I almost had to actually somebody pretty hard about that. Because someone said they're like, I don't remember what year they used, but they said if this would have happened in whatever year, 1980, whatever, the Ravens just the game's over. I'm like, well, actually, you couldn't have gone for 2 back then. They didn't let you.
Yeah,
so they might have lost in overtime. They would have had to kick the extra point.
The idea that you had anywhere close to anything like that athletic back in the day with the tight end.
Who's the best? Who put it in the comments? Who was the best tight end of the 80s?
Yeah, Lamar,
the Chargers guy.
Super high level stuff. The both defenses deserve, I think, a little bit of a downgrade. I'm dying to know what's going on with Roquan Smith. His PFF grade was so low, and he's everywhere. I'm not sure I understand why people were down on him for that game, and I got to dig in a little bit more. He looks like he gained weight. Lamar lost weight. Lamar is not going to run that option, I don't think, over the balance of the regular season. That felt high leveragey, like
Mark Bavaro.
Pushing hard.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to run 50. Like, if you extrapolate that, it was like 275 carries a year. Like, that's just straight up not going to happen. Somebody in the Discord had a good take on that. It's like the high leverage games, he might have to run more, especially when he's not getting any separation down the field. People are just naming tight ends now. This is who's the one that played for the Chargers? He's Kellen Winslow Senior.
Kellen Winslow Senior.
Is he a wide receiver though?
No, he was an 80 tight end, I think.
Okay.
All right. Chiefs are good. Surprise.
Chiefs are good.
Friday night's game, the Love injury is sort of the key. The Eagles have a bottom 5 defense and a top 5 offense. Surprise. The Packers have a worse defense than I realized, and they have now a Jordan Love knee problem, which sucks. And I thought overall it was like very tough to make sense of that game and how the field conditions played so much into some of the success and the explosive plays that I don't really want to dwell on it, but that was massive for the Eagles to get that win, and they are now in very clear cruise control, in my opinion, to be the 1 seed in the NFC if they can beat the amazing Dallas Cowboys. Any thoughts?
Yeah, if you just go look at like EPA per play or any other standard metric for defense, the Eagles and the Packers are going to rate pretty low relative to the rest of the league over a single game sample size. I have a hard time taking away much from that because of the field. I mean, just think, it was not that long ago we were talking about a slippery field with a defensive line that couldn't get home in the playoffs, 2 years ago? God, what game was that where that was like such a big deal that they just couldn't get off? And, how many times did we see a receiver change directions and it looked like the freaking defensive back was on ice skates? Like he just Bambi leg trying to change directions, even after some of them changed cleats. It's really hard to give forward-facing grades using that field on both of these defenses. I will say, I don't think I was super high on parts of the Green Bay defense as it was, but I think the part I hate about it is I am down on the Eagles rebuild in their secondary, but it's hard to say, like, was that actually bad or was that part of the field? So it's going to be hard to use that data.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move to today and let's start with the Jags Dolphins. That felt very lucky for the Dolphins, even though the metrics, they outperformed the Jags. There was a 14-point swing in that game. That was the difference between it being over and
the
it being
fumble was
the ETN fumble
play of the day.
And then bang, 80-yard Hill touchdown. And it's like, what do you know? Like, oh, this game's not over. Bad beat on it felt like a bad beat on the Jags money line. Felt like a bad push on +3 if you sold down to 3 like I did. Contest winner for the Jags, but I thought the offense was unimpressive and the defense was more impressive than I expected. And I think Miami's got some issues with in the trenches to work out, and that's going to come up when we talk about Thursday Night Football and the Bills, where the Dolphins are favored in that game for some reason, and I'm scratching my head about it. So, no key injuries or, kind of surprises. Brian Thomas Jr. I thought had some nice plays, good chemistry with Lawrence, but overall, like the Jags' offense was disappointing. I felt like they should have had well into the 20s here, and they stuck on 17 was pretty bad.
Yeah, basically all the totals I talked about that I kind of chickened out on really playing were decent. Because I said this total was too high. I didn't like Jacksonville's offense.
Oh, yeah, you were very right about that.
I didn't love Jacksonville's offense a ton. They impressed me in a few spots, obviously, like you said. The ETN fumble leading right into that super long play was very, very bad for win probability, but they have some issues on defense, too. It was like Miami's game plan wasn't great. Their sequencing wasn't great, but then every once in a while it would be like, oh, yeah. Like, what if we just had a clearing route and Tyreek had a bunch of space, because then he can go for 50 more yards. Like, once they run those kind of plays that work, like, it's a pain in the ass because nobody can catch those people. Tyson Campbell did leave with a hamstring injury. That's worth
okay.
That's definitely worth looking at. And then Achane was dinged up a little, but I think he ended up being fine. Yeah, I don't have a ton on that game.
No, me neither. I think both teams were disappointing, honestly. The Steelers, Falcons, wow. I ended up playing some Falcons. I'm like, fuck it, I got to play a little here. This is my team. Like, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be mad if I was behind on it. Yeah, I got out to 4. 4 closes 4. And
Never
it
had a
never really
chance.
felt live. Yeah. The Steelers defense was excellent. TJ Watt was everywhere in this game. And why are you making a face? Did the Lions do something dumb?
Almost had a big middle of the field pick. Really bad throw by Stafford.
Staffy. Yeah, no, I mean, TJ Watt
Was
won
electric.
this game. He literally won this game for the Steelers. The stat sheet did not show how dominant he was, despite him having a fumble recovery and a sack, like 2 wiped off the board by penalties.
Honestly, the fumble
like
recovery,
2 more. Yeah.
Fumble recovery wasn't even impressive.
No.
98% of defensive ends make that play because it just
course.
hit the leg and bounced right to him. Like that's what's going to hit the stat sheet and be like, oh, he had a fumble recovery. Good. It wasn't even that. It was the rest of his game.
Yeah.
Drawing extra blockers, getting around. Like anybody who tried to chip him, he was just too fast. And suddenly he's in the backfield and the tackle's dead.
Yes.
He was very, very, very good.
It felt like
Cousins
the game was going very fast for Cousins.
Yeah, he just didn't look ready. He didn't play in the preseason.
Yeah, he didn't look ready.
They ran a lot. They ended up running the ball a ton. The offense looked a little discombobulated. I don't know. I'm going to have to – that one and the Vikings game are the two that I want to rewatch the most for a game, basically like play calling kind of things.
I mean, for Fields to play as poorly as he did and to only kick field goals and then to win in this game, pretty voodoo-y. Good job by the Steelers, I guess. I'm intrigued to see if the Steelers are a bet side this week as they now take on Bo Nix, who doesn't look ready to play. And yeah, it's that was kind of an eye opener about just exactly how important and good and dynamic Watt is when he's healthy, and he was the difference. Congrats to your Vikings. Sam Darnold was outstanding. I think it needs to be asked, Andy. Is Lamar Jackson the 4th best quarterback of the 2018 draft class? The reigning MVP behind Josh Allen, surely. Behind Mayfield, behind Darnold, at least with 1 week of data.
It felt good to get an easy one because I watched part of the beginning of that, and that's why I said I got to rewatch that because I really want to catch up to what Dable did, taking over play calling. But I don't know if I'm going to get a good glimpse of that because Daniel Dimes was not good. They struggled. I mean, they struggled getting the running game going. They struggled getting anything going offensively. Basically, I mean, the first field goal was just a bad turnover, the CJ Ham fumble. Yeah. And then from there, it was pretty bad until garbage time. And even then, they really didn't even put up garbage points. The injury to Addison's a little worrisome. They don't believe it to be serious, but it's one of those two where I think with the score being what it was, I don't think you were in a rush to get him back if you were worried about that ankle. Okay, shit, we got to tape this up now. Van Ginkel, I'm joking sometimes.
He was awesome.
TPOY.
He was awesome.
He was everywhere. He was
awesome.
Most fun pick six I've seen in a while.
Dude, we were a quarter into the game, and the announcer was literally like, Van Ginkel again. Van Ginkel again. And we're like, it's a quarter into the game. And then he had a pick six after that. It's like, wow. Like, this guy is really playing. Just a great player fit with Flores. Like, really, really good. And honestly, like, the Vikings defense is, I mean, Flores is awesome. And, some of why the Giants were useless today was because of that. But they don't have the most talented unit in the world at all. But boy, did they play great today. And yeah, I thought Sam Darnold just looked very comfortable. And I think we did it in the previews for the Giants and the Vikings. We talked about this one where it was like, well, hey, Giants, congrats on the great D line you got there. Be a real shame if you ran into a team with a good O-line. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened. Like, they didn't matter really at all. Darnold was just boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, 1 sack, 19 of 24. Obviously, the INT was kind of rough. But that's what I said about this Minnesota Vikings team. I'm like, if you can get middle of the pack play from Sam Darnold, and I think if you take all the quarterbacks this week so far and put them together, he's probably slightly above average. His rating was 113, QBR 78. And I was a little worried not having Hawkinson because Hawkinson is such a nice outlet. But I mean, Aaron Jones had a couple targets. We used, who was it? Josh Oliver, Ty Chandler had 3 targets, and then you just Addison.
You push the Jefferson button a couple times, and you win the game.
And honestly, that it was some good run blocking, good run scheme, and Aaron Jones was good. He had 94 yards on 14 carries without really breaking a big one either.
Yeah.
So
I guess
that was a good signing.
Real quick, over under 3.5 more starts for Daniel Jones.
I have to look at the schedule, but it feels under full.
Yeah.
Like
what do we?
if they sit
as soon
him,
as
they
Drew
can
Lock
save
is
some
healthy
money.
and ready, they probably just go that way, right?
Well, yeah, if they sit him, they can save some money here too. Although, what are you doing if you're Dable? Because it's really hot seat. Maybe you just realize like fuck, it's over. Like I got to start doing like what do you do to prep yourself to get hired as an offensive coordinator somewhere else next?
Well, we
year?
got an immovable object against a very stoppable force, which is the Giants offense against the Commies defense this week. So that's going to be fascinating.
You're gonna find out who's the worst.
But then they got the Browns and then they got the Cowboys. So like I kind of think you could probably pull the rug on him after 3 more starts and start Drew Lock against the Seahawks. Maybe, who knows? Doesn't feel like this is going to go the whole season with Daniel Jones as QB. And I can't imagine why I would, honestly.
And congrats if you played along on the secret podcast.
Secret pod play
team total. What we were deciding.
Actually, I ended up playing both Minnesota and Tampa, and neither was really a sweat.
Yeah. I like that when we do that. We can't decide, then they both hit. So congrats if you played them both.
Yeah. So the shower fart game of the weekend was Carolina and New Orleans, and ultimately that was probably one of the more entertaining games in the 1:00 slate, just because it was a comedy of errors for the Panthers, and the Saints looked fine, actually good. Their defense especially. And now it's tough to say if any of this was a product of the Panthers having a candy ass preseason, or if that was, kind of indicative of exactly how they ought to be rated right now. But if you're updating your power numbers for week 2, I'm pretty sure we all know who team number 32 is, and they reside in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Pretty bad turnovers, just poor play by the quarterback. You're just not going to win with this quarterback, probably. He was sacked 4 times, threw 2 interceptions.
Game was just going so fast for him too.
13 for 30, and nothing else worked. Their leading rusher had 22 yards. Granted, the game state didn't behoove them to run the ball a lot, but it was pretty rough from get go. It probably shouldn't have been 47-10, but yeah, this was bad. And again, it's going to be hard to grade the Saints tape here.
This game was over by the middle of the first quarter.
Yeah, it was 30-0 in a hurry, it felt like.
Yeah.
At least they have their draft pick this year.
Yeah. Tough to go play in New Orleans, by the way. We always forget that.
There were some injuries I did want to mention there. Foster Moreau was concussed. Marshawn Lattimore left with a hamstring. He said, I'm good. Or he used a different word for it. But he said, I'm good. I think that was another one where it's like, hey, if the game was maybe closer, we wouldn't we might look at putting you back in, but you're gonna sit because your hamstrings hurts. And then Lucas Patrick left with the toe injury. That was their left guard. That might not bode well for a already bad / beat up offensive line. So something to watch. There are a few injuries to the Saints. That stuff gets lost in the wash when you beat the shit out of somebody. But all the injuries were on the Rams or the Saints side. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. I thought so too. Bengals, Patriots, 34% of Survivor players are done after 1 week. Sign up next year, guys.
Seattle.
Yes, yeah.
That was
easy.
Oh my God,
although ultimately that was
first quarter.
That was bad first quarter. Bad, just like that initial series by Gino. We'll get there. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I thought the Bengals. The most significant question you have as a handicapper updating your numbers this week is what number do you give Joe Burrow? Because it's not 100%. And we both were kind of in agreement, I think, that we had him in the second, third tier of quarterback OC ratings to start the season. It's not there. The wrist injury he's sustained looks like it is still impacting his play. And I can't believe that, considering how much time has gone by. And I know that it's a tough, really well coordinated defense by Gerard Mayo in his first ever career win as a head coach. But that shouldn't have been that hard for the Bengals offense to get off the ground. The T. Higgins absence was notably felt. And I'm nervous about Burrow. I know he was 21 or 29 today, but the zip and spin and the kind of ability to hit all levels of the field just didn't feel like it was there.
Yeah, this was a fluky one too. With the Duggar had that really nice punch out.
That was really good.
The game goes a little different if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, maybe they win. Maybe they win.
There were some really impactful plays today. Maybe it feels like there's more of them. Maybe it's just we haven't had football so long and I'm so jazzed about it. But my God, what a punch out. Because it wasn't like he tackled him and the ball came out. Like, it was very purposeful. Yeah. Beautiful homage to Peanut. And I mean, that was kind of it. Yeah.
Do you agree with me about downgrading Burrow, or are you gonna stay?
Yeah, no, he doesn't look well. Two things about the Bengals: his wrist isn't right. He doesn't look like he has like you said, the same zip on the ball. That's a good way to put it. And the other thing is their run stop was pretty atrocious. For a Patriots, this wasn't an offensive line we held in high regard. They've had injuries. I mean, as low as we had City So rated. Like, City So was out and they had to go to another, further down the depth chart, and they still ran for it was closing in on 200 yards. They kind of had their way on the ground at times against this front. So I'm going to have to look at how I feel about the Bengals defense as well. This wasn't like some aerial attack that was going to give them hell. You think you'd have been able to focus in and get yourself some heavy boxes. And that's a kind of another thing I want to watch too when I rewatch this one. Yeah, good call, Gelati. DJ Reader. I mean, two teams are missing him. He ended up going here, but that sucks. When you're seeing that, I made that joke in the Discord when Montgomery was going and running. I'm like, God, the Rams need a really athletic defensive tackle.
I don't know that Aaron Donald for sure. The door is closing. Him coming back. We'll see. All right, let's pull off the Band-Aid. How the fuck did the Titans do this? The Titans,
it's quarterback play. It was just
good. I mean, I'm pissed I haven't seen gifs of it yet. But Will Levis doing the hands on the head. What have I done? Yeah. After the pick six was it was perfect. Like,
they blew
what
it up.
Are you doing? What are you doing?
Maniacs.
Unreal. That was quite a blown game. I guess it looked. I mean. For Caleb Williams to have played that poorly and the Bears offense to look that lost and still win is ridiculous. The Titans defense is good, better than league average. And I think
I saw some nice things from the Titans defense. Yeah. Caleb looked a little like there was a little bit of nerves there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I didn't. The line didn't play great. The offense just in general didn't look like it had. I didn't like the vision really. I'm nervous about Waldron, if we're being honest. I don't know that I like what they're building there for him. We'll see how it plays out. But
I know of all my notes for Waldron, it was like, well, it's going to be faster. Like they're going to run a quicker offense, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and look actually what he used. That wasn't one I watched a ton of the second half. I just kept getting more mad as I would check score updates on that. And then, the score would pop like, motherfucker, a punt return? How are you doing this? And I knew this offense wouldn't be great, but boy, yeah. I didn't think Levis would be that bad. Like throwing that prayer up that was interception was bad. Yeah. You can't do that sort of stuff if you're that bad of a quarterback. Yeah. You need to be a shitty game manager.
It's a low-key, very unenjoyable part of red zone. When you have a team or a side and they get forced into a punt situation and then they cut back to the game for the punt and you're just fuck. Great. Like there's only something terrible could happen here. It happened to Houston. And
good point by Rob too. One of their field goals was after a longer touch era.
It was all special teams and defense for the Bears today. The offense did jack shit. But that's how you win games sometimes. I did forget to mention one thing about the Giants game that I wanted to, and this is another kind of small sort of sidebar. I was not told that they were going to be wearing throwback uniforms. They were awful. Horrid. They were awful. They looked like dog shit. But in general, do you get that feeling when you're going through the pregame rituals and you're getting ready to go and you're looking at the field conditions, you're like, oh, wait, what are the Giants wearing? I wasn't told about this. Like, there's so many just random uniform tweets like in the NFL info streams that you just kind of get used to it. Like, I was ready for the Seahawks wearing the throwbacks, and those looked great.
Oh,
I was not ready for the Giants to be wearing those uniforms, and they looked
the baseball caps that they made to go with the throwback. Those are so. I might buy one of those. I'm not even a Seahawks fan. It's just a really, really good hat. I was reminded. Shout out CJ Fogler, who just tweets a bunch of.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Clips and photos.
Yeah, he's just great stuff.
He posted it the other day. He's like, "Oh, I'd forgot the Giants are going to win," because he's from Minnesota. He does a lot of Vikings content as well, and he posted that. I'm like, "Oh yeah, gross. Those are bad. Like some of those throwbacks, we left them in the past for a reason. The Steelers had the ones with like the Bears too. They had the vertical stripe ones from like the 30s. We don't ever have to wear those. We have good uniforms now.
Yeah, let's just wear the good ones. Yeah, I agree. All right. Really fun game with Cardinals Bills.
Did you just hit everything in that?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the number you got on the Cardinals. I used them in contests.
I had 6.5 on the Cardinals, and then I bought off at 5.5. So I hit the middle on that one. And
what about your Bills team total over?
That made it.
What about your over 50?
Oh, that one, it was fascinating because you saw where that closed.
Yeah.
Somebody bet that under, like they knew the final score, and they were wrong. And honestly, like watching the game and the game flow and how like just exactly like we expected handicap wise, the Cardinals offense was able to do lots against that Bills spine. They were fine, and the Cardinals looked to me like a borderline top 10 offense, and the Bills defense has some issues. Good in the trenches though. Greg Rousseau was phenomenal today. He was a huge part of the reason that Bills team won. Josh Allen is impossible to tackle, and the Joe Brady offense for the Bills kind of stinks, but it's effective when they get into games against bad defenses. They're going to be able to do what they did today, which is come back from monumental deficits. So I do not doubt them.
Yeah, that was my only concern with that over, was the fact that Brady ended up running a lot more once he took over. Yeah. But like you said, they were effective, and maybe it doesn't even matter if you want to run a lot when it's that bad of a defense. Even if you throw out the kick return, which was electric, the Cardinals putting up 21 on somebody is impressive on the road to start the season. Kyler was good. I could have sworn Kyler ran like 10 times. It was only 5 carries for 57 yards, but every one of them, it felt like it was meaningful.
Mattered.
Like that was an important run. Oh, now we're just throwing flags on everything, I guess. I'm still watching the Lions game. Yeah, Marvin Harrison, unimpressive. Didn't get to see a ton of him. I think he had 3 targets, 1 catch, 4 yards. I don't know. It'll take some time. Trey McBride was good. Dortch was good. Who's the second running back they went to? Benson didn't get a lot of carries, but I watched part of that, and he looks like he has some pop. I think they have a good one too there. So it could be a fun offense like we thought. And again, very bad defense. Josh Allen, 9 for 39 and 2 touchdowns. That's what he ran for.
Yuck. Touchdown Rams. Stupid. That was just an annoying drive by the Rams. The whole thing was annoying.
They went for it on a 4th down, though. We were wrong.
Yeah, that's right. They got it. Let's move on to Texans Colts. Colts were really feisty today. Blocked punt, set up a touchdown, which really changed the game. Kept them in that one. Bombs from Richardson. Richardson was able to do virtually nothing in sort of a normal-ish offense, and then just uncorked 3 beautiful passes down the field. 2 of them in particular were like, oh my God, like, this is elite arm talent. And that was enough to get the cover for the Colts. Huge win for the Texans in terms of like they're like, achieving what they want this year. Like they really did need that win. And did you watch the end of I thought that the most kind of important key takeaways from the game were really like the last drive by the Texans, where they needed to get 2 real tough first downs in order to actually put that game away and not give the ball back to Steichen and co. Right. And Nico Collins made an amazing catch on the sidelines to get the hardest first down.
The announcers were just like, "Oh, incomplete," because it didn't look like there's any way he caught that ball.
Yeah, he made the catch and got his knee down.
He looked so far out of bounds on that.
Yeah,
it was a catch. It was wrong. It was absolutely a catch. No, that was great. And then the Richardson thing, I hope he starts to improve other parts of his game. Doesn't feel super sustainable to just throw 3 50-yard touchdowns. I think somebody had totaled it up. Those 3 had like 135 air yards. It's not the Justin Fields, DJ Moore preseason game where he had 150 yards on 2 passes that went from here to the other side of the room in total. Like, he was airing it out, and those were all really good balls. That's just not super sustainable. We'll see what the Colts offense looks like. Taylor was fine. Richardson was fine when he ran the ball. Richardson was, he was okay at other stuff. You got to remember, this is like his 4th game in the NFL ever. It's still a bit of a learning curve.
He's very, very green. Yeah.
Ashton Doolin was not a name I thought I'd see.
No. Alex prominently was able to make those type of plays downfield either. I thought they were out. They were in trouble outside of Pittman, but the whole skill group from the Colts has to be upgraded a bit. And I think ultimately the Texans defense, I need to put a little cold water on them. Secondary was unimpressive. Yeah. Linebacking core has some questions, although they defended the run a lot better than they did any other time they played Jonathan Taylor. 3
yards per carry for him.
Pass rush was pretty disappointing, although it was a good pass blocking unit they were up against on the road. So, I'm not going to draw tons of conclusions. I will just say that the offense is what was promised. They probably should have scored more, but it is what it is. CJ Stroud is crisp. He looks great. They have new dimension with Mixon, who's actually live, as opposed to Pierce running the ball.
30 carries.
He was excellent.
That was the 2 stats that stuck out to me were 30 carries and Drew, name all the quarterbacks who threw for 300 yards today?
Is this like a trick question? Like there was only Baker Mayfield or something?
It wasn't Baker Mayfield. Is an incorrect answer.
He had like 299, right? He came in just under
289 or something. Yeah, it was like close.
Are you asking me because there were none? I feel like that's what you're asking.
There's the correct answers.
Tua did. Tua definitely did because Hill had.
You named them all.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, it was only Tua.
Just Tua.
Only Tua. Oh
just God. Tua. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, it wasn't any weird. It was a weird week.
There were no Thursday or Friday. None on Thursday or Friday either.
No.
Well, that's wild.
There's a bunch of games where it's like, man, he had a really nice game. And then you go look, it's like he had 190 yards passing. There wasn't big passing.
Honestly, that's probably a factor of the new kickoffs too. You're taking a little bit of field away from.
But you're starting at the 30 every damn time.
Right. Okay. Real quick. One final thought on the Texans Colts. God, dude, that would have been that cover would have really helped. That would have helped me today get a huge step forward.
Yeah, the Titans would have been great.
Titans would have been great, but the Texans too. And they almost stopped him on 4th and goal, but Richardson had a pretty good effort, good second effort to get that across the line. And then it was basically over. But thankfully the Texans held on because the Texans loss would have really stung. That would have really stung. All future cold water shit if that happens, and they held on. So really good game just in general. That was my favorite watch of the first early games.
Somebody pointed out in the chat.
No, Bills Cardinals.
Yeah, somebody pointed out in the chat, but I had this in my notes as well. The half. Yeah, Okudah did leave with a hip injury.
He's not very good though. So
that's the thing. Like I don't know, but there are some weak spots back there. I think it's still kind of a boom or bust secondary between the guys that they have back there, and missing one extra guy certainly doesn't help. So that was the main injury I saw.
All right. File away in the what the fuck category. Didn't watch enough of this game to have any conclusions. Don't understand either of these teams. The Chargers beat the Raiders 22-10.
Minshew was okay. Fuck, he had like that. This is another one where like Herbert, 144 yards and a touchdown. They ran a ton. I guess this kind of jives with what we weren't 100% sure this is what we were going to get with Roman and Harbaugh, but we said, what if it's just a run-first offense? Because they realize that's what we're good at as coaches. That's the kind of scheme I can put together. And we don't have any wide receivers. Like, we can use Herbert when we need him, but what if we're a run-first team? And they ran J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards 21 times for a combined. I feel bad to doing this for Dobbins because Dobbins had 135. I mean, he had that one long run that helped a lot, but they had 150 together. They even ran a Darius Davis. I mean, they did kind of work on their run-first approach. It worked against this defense, especially when you're looking at a really good pass rush. Crosby and Wilkins, everything up there is good. So I guess that's the new identity, and it's going to work if a team has a defense you can run against. And at the same time, Minshew was Minshew. The one turnover was, I'm trying to think when that interception was. I feel like that was the late one there. Yeah, that was after the cowardly punt. That was the biggest takeaway.
Dan Campbell not going for it on 4th one.
Yeah, it was like 4th, and it was kind of on.
It was like 2-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
biggest takeaways were Pierce. I joked about that earlier with someone. I said the interim coach bump expiration date. I checked it. Well over. Like we're well over that. So they had that cowardly punt, and then naturally when you have one of those, the other team takes the ball 92 yards and scores, puts it pretty much out of reach, and then you get Minshew in comeback mode sometimes turns into the bad Minshew, and then that's where you end up with the turnovers.
Yep. Broncos Seahawks was a weird one. Broncos at one point had 13 points the normalest way possible. A field goal, safety. Geno Smith came out and looked like he was ready to poop himself. He did not look comfortable at all in the first 2 plays, including a horrific interception, but then settled down. It was fine. I liked the play calling by Grubb. I liked the overall performance of the Seahawks defense, but I don't want to get too excited about it because Bo Nix was not ready to play today.
My takeaway from Bo Nix is he's fast. When he took off on runs, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a lot quicker than I thought he was going to be. Yeah, he looked very much not ready for the big spot against an up and coming defense here. With
tough place to play your first game against a tough defensive coordinator.
Really was. He was dropped back 42 times, which is a lot. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did run that one in. Like I said, he had 35 rushing yards. He spread it around. I'm not sure who your wide receiver 1 is. I guess Sutton is supposed to be, but Josh Reynolds and Devon Vele each got 8 targets. Sutton did get 12 targets, but only caught 4 of them. That's kind of the story of the game. There was a lot of inaccuracy. Yeah, that's right. And his telegraphed interceptions were bad. Was it Adam Archuleta? That's the clip I watched the most. Like when there's a clip and it's funny and you watch it like 5-6 times in a row. That's the one I did this afternoon where he throws it and the announcer Archuleta's like, no, oh no. he says, oh no, or something. It's bad. And then you look when the camera pans to it, it's just triple coverage. Not only triple coverage, but they're all between the receiver and the ball. Like it was just clearly going to be an interception no matter what, unless they all just knocked heads. It's good to see Lockett out there. That was a concern all week. He looked fine. He was actually your leading receiver in the game. Metcalf contributed. Charbonnet was the one with the touchdown receiving. Kenny Walker looked good. He had 100 yards. There was a couple. I think he's one of those where there's going to be some really bad runs by him where they go negative, but he always ends up seeming to perform. So if they get the Geno we saw in the middle part of the game before they went into a little more of a conservative mode for some reason, I think, it's probably a playoff team, right?
Yeah, I think so. And definitely a team that I think is going to defense will keep getting better, but the fact that they're already there is pretty exciting. The next game in rotation was the 4:25 game.
Real quick too.
Yeah, sure.
The interception by Witherspoon.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. Or Love, the one on the sideline.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to
Might
think
have
of
been
the play
Julian
here.
Love. It was one on the sideline. The defense in general was just flying around in the secondary. They looked very awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, Love had that interception, and yeah, it was like second quarter ish. Yeah, we're in like the 5-3 mode there.
Yeah. The most enjoyable watch of the day from a betting
Tariq Woolen,
standpoint was
the Woolen interception was nicely
yeah,
too.
that was nice. The easiest watch of the day today from a betting and enjoyment standpoint was the Dallas Cowboys money line. Awesome. They had no issues whatsoever running their offense against the mighty Browns on the road. Deshaun Watson is not good at all. Like I kind of was just shaking my head like what are they gonna do? Like what do you do right at this point? He was wildly inaccurate and inconsistent and seemed like he wanted to just run and dump and not really like try to run real offense. If I'm Stefanski, I'm like freaking losing my shit trying
his
to play
body language was bad. He was blaming other people and like he was doing the
6 times he got sacked. He got hit a lot as he was running on his 5 scrambles. The Dallas defense is a tough matchup, surely, but not that tough. This was bad for the Browns in every way I think you can conceive of. And I honestly I don't know what you rate them now offense with QBOC, but it's not high, and that's going to be a problem for them.
Yeah, I started low. I wonder if I'm not low enough on that. I had a 40th percentile quarterback. I'm not super sure that's what we saw today.
No.
And like you said, it's a bad defense to go up against right away. Like they had 6 sacks. Parsons had 1. DeMarcus Lawrence got there a couple times. Like there's a bunch of big problems along that front 7 for the Cowboys, especially when you're dealing with tackle injuries. And they had tackle injuries, and that stinks, but you expect more out of somebody you're paying this much. Somebody that was, that was always the thing, like, hey, should we be like, sign this guy? Because he's kind of, there's some baggage, there's a lot of baggage. And like, what do you need to overcome that baggage as a franchise? This is the joke we made. Like they for sure had a meeting. We're like, how does this weigh out? Because this is going to be kind of a PR nightmare for us. But at the time when we looked at it, it's like, when's the last time you were able to sign somebody at this age who'd had that high a level in college and pros already? And you can just sign him. Like he's yours. You just have to pay him. Like it had to feel like, all right, we got our quarterback, and they were starting to put the rest of the team together. So this is, somebody joked about this on Twitter. It's like, yeah, it sucks to be a Carolina fan, but he's like, what about a Cleveland fan, man?
Oh, yeah.
You thought you were over the hump. You got your playoff win a couple years ago, and now this is what you're getting from this team. And like you can't divorce yourself from them because you're paying them so much money. I don't know what there's nothing you can do.
They restructured it in a way that makes it even harder to deal with it now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they push more back. Like, oh good, no, it's even worse next year if you try to get away from. So we'll see if they have the balls to start Winston at some point. But
we skipped Commies Bucks.
We get to that one.
The Bucks were amazing. I feel would the Bucks score 37 today? I feel like they could have scored 57 if they felt like it.
And both tight ends real quick were hurt. And Njoku had that ankle. He was in a walking boot.
Injury.
Jake Ferguson seemed like it was not serious, but he's still getting an MRI on that knee tomorrow.
Yeah, Cowboys should have been probably consider an upgrade, I think, just in general, as a team rating. Right? Like they looked good.
So.
They looked crisp. That was a good
one. That was one where I struggled with, if you remember doing the Dallas previews, I struggled with what I was going to give like their skill position players. Because I said like, hey, CeeDee Lamb's really good, but what are we doing after that? Is it really going to be Zeke? Is it really going to be eventually, they brought in, Dalvin Cook. I don't think he might not have even dressed today. Rico Dowdle and Zeke weren't great. They got a little bit done on the ground, but CeeDee Lamb was great. Brandon Cooks carried his weight, and if Ferguson's healthy, he's a good tight end. So maybe I was a little hard on the skill position group. It's maybe not a star-studded position group, but
they might have the best wide receiver in football.
Yeah, if you have CeeDee Lamb and then
Clear
the sum of the parts, the rest of the wide receivers, if it's enough, then you get what you had today, because that was a really good offense or defense they played. And honestly, the Cowboys didn't do shit for like big chunks of the game.
Huge chunks, yeah.
They went into big conservative mode. If they would have really pressed the aggressive button, they might have scored 50 today, because things were humming when they wanted to for some reason. And then, they really went into conservative mode, or people were like worried. That's probably, I don't know, people blame the over getting there on that. But it's like, man, if the Cowboys would have stayed aggressive, they'd have scored more points too. The over was probably getting there, guys.
Let's talk about your Bucks.
Tampa.
I don't think it's crazy that they're going to be in the conversation for a top seed in the playoffs. Their defense was better than I expected.
Oh.
Or at least less problematic than I expected. Jaden Daniels has some nice wheels. Two solid rushing touchdowns for him. It felt like Mike Evans is still very much in his prime, which is amazing considering how long he's been in the league. His first touchdown catch was just,
first one was great,
fucking awesome, and honestly, really balanced distribution between targets across all the good players, and all those guys found success against a very bad defense for the Commanders. I think the funny, weird, bad thing about the Bucks, which carried over from same as it ever was, Rachaad White, 2.1 yards per carry with 15 touches in the running game. But they happened to find some zip with Oregon kid Bucky Irving. You want to use Rachaad White in passing situations and use Bucky Irving as your RB1. I think that actually might make this even a more dynamic team if that's possible. So the Bucks offense to me looks like potentially a top 10 or definitely top 10, maybe top 5 offense.
And Rachaad White's numbers are a little misleading. He was worse than that. If you look at his total yards per carry, he had a couple carries late that were okay when Washington's defense had fully given up on tackling.
Yeah, right.
It was worse than that. White was not good, and they were good. You have a good front there. There's some big people in the middle of that Washington defense. That's probably their strength is, the Jonathan Allens and the people in the front seven who can stop the run. And it was just crazy that was the game plan, because guys were open on every single play. I was halfway joking in the Discord, but I'm like, I don't even know if I'm joking anymore. You could just throw on every down. You can completely give up on the run here because people are wide open. And then it's funny because then we had the Evans touchdown, which he was not open on. That was actually pretty good coverage by the young man. And he just beat him because it's Mike Evans and somehow is super timeless. But yeah, if you have good wide receivers against this, somebody called it a high school secondary in the chat. Alex heart attack. Yeah, I mean that helped. That was 90% of the handicap was, what if you have a Hall of Famer and Chris Godwin against some really shitty secondary pieces? Yeah. Baker Mayfield, all you have to do is not completely regress to the worst thing we've ever seen you do in Cleveland. And Baker was 24 of 30, no interceptions, 1 sack. He looked very composed, and he was using his legs a lot. Not so much to run, although he did take off a couple times and it was effective, but he was really good at sack avoidance, which is nice because this offensive line isn't perfect.
Yeah. All right, maybe top 5 is aggressive. I'm trying to count or see who I would kick out. But the thing is, a lot of the top 10 offenses that I have rated right now, I have questions, I have issues, and the margin between the Bucks and the very, very, very good it's just not that big. They're right there. They're gonna be a very fun team to watch. I feel like this season.
I had them as my 18th best offense.
If they can kind of figure out what to do with the run game, I guess, because they waste a lot of downs.
Yeah,
with White.
That was the gripe last year. I had them as my 18th best offense coming into the week.
I had them 13th coming in, and I think I'm probably going to be in the 10, 11, 12 range after updating this week. All right. I don't think our second half bet's doing super great, although a Lions touchdown is on this drive would be swell.
Yeah. Washington, real quick too. Daniels, he had some bad passes. He looked a little lost at times too. We saw it from all 3 rookie quarterbacks. There was a lot of bad. everyone we had a little bit of good. Daniels was definitely his legs, but that's another one. You extrapolate that out. If he does that every week, that's 272 carries,
That's
which is too many.
That is about 172 too many.
Yeah. So
like 5-6 a game is probably reasonable. 16 a game. He had 16 today. Oh my god.
16 carries against a middle of the pack defense. Like, this is not by any means a defense that I hold in high regard. I have them as a dead average defense with some nice pieces. It's tough to say they played bad today. I mean, at times they did let Washington move. Some of it was maybe garbage-ish time, but against a really good defense, I don't know what they're going to do. This offense is pretty bad too. Like, they're trending. I mean, they're just lucky Carolina's around. Going to keep them out of that 32 spot, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Let's say Washington, Carolina, and the Giants. Who was the least impressive?
Carolina by far.
I don't know, man.
Washington's defense is probably the worst in the NFL, but the worst team in the NFL is Carolina.
The Giants are pretty close, though. Like Washington, you're right. Washington's clearly 1 out of 3 on that, but man, the Giants are pretty bad. It's Carolina. You're right. It's still Carolina, but it's close. New York is knocking at the door.
They are. They're in the bottom 3. Those are the bottom 3. I don't think there's any question of that. Bottom 4 includes Broncos probably.
Yeah, I think I had New England in that range, but got to upgrade them a little just based on how well they ran the ball today. Brissett wasn't horrible. Like, I don't think I should be putting Brissett in the same category as Daniel Jones and Bryce Young. He played with a lot more confidence and he looked like an NFL quarterback at times where those guys didn't. So I think he's definitely leapfrogging them. I'm moving Tennessee up, moving New England up, moving Pittsburgh probably where they at. I got to move the Saints up.
Yeah. Any opening thoughts here as we look at markets? Are you surprised Green Bay Colts number is up? And do you think that is a Ryan Tannehill number, or is that a Malik Willis number?
I don't know.
It can't be a Malik Willis number.
I think it is, and I think it's
Then
wrong. I don't, because
the must bet Colts then.
It seems like that. So, and I forgot to tell you this. I put in the Discord, and there's some guys they had beat me to it, but it's that Houston line that I talked to you about last week.
Yeah.
I'm going to start doing this a little more. The look aheads, we crushed it. Like, I'm just going to run my numbers on next week look aheads and play some small stakes on look ahead prices. And I said, hey guys, I'm playing Houston -3.5, and like 4 people are like, hey, welcome to the team, because like they already all had. I think a bunch of people are already really good at picking out some bad numbers, because that number is up to 6.5 and trending towards 7. Let me look at what else we have. It does feel like it's not like a halfway number, right? For Green Bay.
No.
So I'd have made that with Love in. I'd have made that Green Bay -5.
I'm kind of in that ballpark too. Tough traveling home from Brazil combined with quarterback question mark. That feels like that's going to close outside of 3. The other kind of game I'm interested in, there's like a lot of road chalk this week, which is wild. You get 5-point favorites for the Chargers at the Panthers. How about that? Holy shit. 5-point favorites on the road for the Chargers. The Seahawks 3-point favorites against the Patriots. The one I'm interested in following is the Steelers Broncos one, because I'm imagining the Steelers are probably going to be a hot side after they win that they got. Now going up against Denver at altitude. This is a bad spot for them. It's 2 weeks in a row on the road, altitude early in the season. This is probably going to be the kind of like, if that gets to 3.5, I might be hold my nose, play Denver this week, which feels weird and terrible against that defense with that quarterback. But
it feels really bad. Like, that's a terrible matchup for him. I got to dig into how that offensive line played today, because the way TJ Watt played, like, I get what you're saying. Situationally, that's a nice spot, but if Nix gets sacked 14 times, like, we're not going to stay inside that number.
Yeah. There's been an adjustment out on the Bengals Chiefs, which I'm assuming means downgrade on the Bengals. That's out to 6. Hard to imagine.
Yeah, that look ahead was
Bengals.
3.5.
Yeah.
I made it 5.
Yeah.
I haven't obviously downgraded the Bengals yet, and I will because that needs to happen. So I'm probably on market there.
Yeah.
What was the other? Ravens. So Ravens Chargers, Ravens Raiders 9. That look ahead was
wow. That takes some stones
to
get involved with
that
that
was
one.
7.5. That's another one where I make it like 10. I make it 10.7.
Mm.
I think I'm actually probably going to have to upgrade Las Vegas a little bit based on a couple things. Not a ton. Probably not going to get on the other side of 10, though. Cowboys Saints. Cowboys 6.5-point favorites. That was the look ahead. They didn't really make an adjustment. I think probably adjusted both teams' offenses up a little bit, and the number remains the same.
Yeah. Yep.
We're not seeing a Vikings number.
It's going to be like in the 5.5 range, it looks like.
6, I think. So Chris has it down. Jets, Titans as well. I wonder what the reasoning for some of that is. Giants, Commanders. Oof. We're going to have bad games. We're going to have like a really bad game every week, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Because there's like 6 bad teams.
Bad teams, yeah.
What's your Giants, Commanders numbers?
Dude, Bucks
3.
line is going to be fucking great.
I mean, essentially, it's 2.5.
Yeah.
Which I make it 2.43. Good. I don't want to bet, watch, or think about that game.
All right, we'll save more thoughts, and we've given the people.
Well, I haven't done my updating yet either. So yeah, I just kind of off the cuff. There's not a whole lot I'd be super excited about to bet right now.
No.
Did you look at totals at all?
No. A lot of low totals though. Mostly it's just the bad games that are up.
3 of them in the 30s right now. Panthers, Chargers under 40, Seahawks, Patriots under 40, and Steelers, Broncos 37.5.
Wow, those are some low numbers.
Yeah, I don't see.
All right. Well, let's call it a night.
Yeah, we'll call it a podcast.
Good job.
We'll get some sleep.
Yep, you too.
We'll catch you tomorrow night for what's the game? Niners, Jets.
Yes. Very fired up for this. I bet some Jets. I think they can win. I don't have more of a detailed handicap than that.
Let's go Lions. I think Goff just threw an interception, though. So
no.
I'm just going to go to bed.
Really?
But Goff was going to be indoors 14 of 17 games, guys.
Oh, no. Lions are potentially going to screw this game.
Oh, that's just a really good play on the ball by Johnson.
He's a good player.
I'm not super sure he caught that. Oh, hit the ground. Oh, I don't know. See you guys.